Now, well, yes, it can be argued that Tessa shows little concern for Uzi because she's barely met her and knows what Sin can manipulate her to do. Tessa's actions, to me, read as those of a controlling and jealous ex. I also believe that Tessa isn't telling N everything, and maybe holding back information to keep him on a leash, per se. To control him. Although, maybe Tessa isn't really Tessa. How did she survive Sin's massacre? How else would a human lose all that blood in that manner without passing out?
I called it! I was right! Y'all thought I was insane! Whoa! In all seriousness, it was really funny seeing the MD community blow up with, "How could we have missed this? The signs were right there all along!" And I'm over here on my high horse like, I called it. But wow! I predicted this 3.5 months before 7 even came out. I'm so good. Now, did I think Tessa was going to be Michael Afton? No. I thought she would just be another drone that posed as a human. I also like FNAF. Huh. Liam, are you a FNAF fan? Regardless, I'm taking this as an absolute win. Also, I have a son now. He's in the recording booth with me. Recording closet. I love him. He is great. Alright, now to cover my speculation from my Final Destination teaser analysis. If you'd like to hear what I thought in more detail of each frame and more, check it out in the iCard above. Anyhow, firstly, I was right about the promo GIF and the thumbnail. Granted, those were easy. We've yet to see this shot and still have no word of V other than the trauma ghost. So it's still up in the air if the Sentinels got to her, she'll come back Eldritch, or if she'll come back, period. This shot explained itself. Still can't make out what the painting depicts. I was right once again. Her name is, well, Triss. But I was wrong about Triss. She's dead. No role in the episode whatsoever. All these shots were easy. I really thought the Gilded Woman would play a bigger role, at least in symbolism. And also, just why is it storming underground? Granted, it's probably for the same reason Liam chose a cathedral at all for 7 setting. It looked cool. Which I think kind of sucks as an explanation. Like, I'm kind of bummed that there's no in-universe reason for there to be a cathedral lab. But, I mean, it kind of makes sense. They rented it out, it was there, but, you know, I kind of wish that there was more symbolism to it. I mean, there is symbolism, but I don't know. At least he's right, it does look cool. Alright, now for a lightning round of the lightning round. Self-explanatory. I thought this shot was N getting told more Solver Expedition. Instead, his reaction is directed at the collapsed elevator shaft. After he realizes that he's just lost V. This makes him both panic and disregard the safety of Uzi, Tessa, and especially himself. But we'll touch more on that later. Called the human scenes being flashbacks. Self-explanatory. This is just a hand, and I called this being Nori. This scene hurt to watch. Here, she just saw her mother almost kill a man. So, this is the cross/patch/MacGuffin, and this was Nori's heart. I totally forgot about the heart element of these drones, but can you blame me? No dog. Sad. Betrayal. I really thought they were walking up an incline or a set of steps, but nah. It's flat ground. Self-explanatory. Called Nori's name tag floating. Self-explanatory. Would never have called why N looked murderous. Jeez. We'll get to this later. Called that this was a suspended solver claw. Did not call these 2 shots, but did call the fire behind doll.
Puerco.
Would you consider calling this heart-themed, calling the emphasis on drone hearts this episode had? Release date. Alright, now for some personal theory review. In the previous analysis video, I had some theories in the second half, so we're going to be doing that now. I did call that someone would die, but I thought it would be Uzi, due to her mural. Turns out, maybe the common theme of these murals is self-sacrifice instead of death. This may mean that Uzi, maybe even V, will be saved in 8, but possibly at the cost of N. Alternatively, maybe the mural names will go V, Angel of Death, Uzi, Host of the Solver, N, Sole Survivor. I was also wrong about N's death, but who would have guessed Doll would have died? It's sad to see her go with no lines in 6 and a raw death in 7. She didn't even know she got retribution for her parents because she didn't even know V died. I feel that, while a sick death scene, Doll definitely had wasted potential. While we did see dead test drones, none of them made it after the core collapse. Also, can you blame me for believing that Jay would have a bigger role in 7? While I called the no-brainer fact that the leaked merch would coincide with 7's release, Jay had more lines in the employee training video merch ad than she did in 7. Maybe even the whole series. Well, save for the pilot. Jeez. Doll animates. Doll dies. Lamau. Also, Uzi's something big. Yeah, that was her sacrifice. I didn't call the Tessa and Uzi scene, and didn't call the general plot. I did call that Nori was still there and alive, though. I thought she'd be in her old body, and not as a heart, but I still called it. Also, N wasn't laughing in this snippet.
Thanks for giving me the planet, friggin' idiot.
It's probably just Sin, or Solver. And maybe an older version of this line.
Thanks for the new host, intern.
I was right about how we would see more of N being hesitant to hurt Uzi, though. Even at the cost of his own safety, which we'll delve into later. Finally, sadly, I think that episode 8 might actually be the last episode. 7 didn't really bring my hopes up too much in regards to a season 2 story, but I hope there is still a season 2. However, if there isn't a great story to tell for it, I'll be happy we at least got 8 whole episodes. Now for another theory rant time. These will be rants about episode 7 as a whole, and they'll be largely unscripted. It's very similar to the previous analysis video. So, here we go. Time to delve into my mind. First up, N's self-worth and its decline. Alright, so it's very obvious that in, well, the pilot, N doesn't really have the best self-esteem. He's happy a lot, but he's belittled and constantly ridiculed by J and V. And it's sad to see, but at least he has a smile on his face, right? Meaning he's happy, right? No. You can tell in episode 1, from the onset, he isn't happy in his position. I mean, hell, his so-called friend, Jay, was ready to up and just kill him like that. At, like, a slight rebellious streak. And she says, oh, I've been waiting for this, you know. And then, you know, his crush at the time, V, was horrible to him, you know, not even remembering his name. Although, speaking on that not remembering his name bit, I said we would talk about this later, but You know how in episode 7 we got that raw, raunchy scene of the 3 drones, the 3 murder drones, and their copies all massacring the city and Earth? Well, Earth as a whole. Maybe because there's so many copies, maybe not all of them share the same memories. Because while Solver is controlling of everything, it's not a hive mind unless it assimilates you, eats you. So maybe what V meant in episode 1 was she saw N die and didn't fully grasp the revival aspect of the Solver. So whenever she says,
Tonight?
Oh God, who are you?
maybe she means that as, whoa, I saw my friend or my former lover just fucking die. And now an exact copy of him is talking to me as if nothing happened. So, that might be why she's off. But then again, Liam pants the series. As he self-admitted in Glitch X, he pantsed it. So granted, he probably didn't think that far ahead, but it's cool to retroactively put that context onto that scene. But going back to that massacring scene, we see how N didn't remember it until Sin, or Solver, I'll call her Solver from now on because I don't want to go bobbing between Sin, Tessa. Solver has been melding with his mind and trying to make him forget everything so that he's just obedient, right? He's an obedient slave. As confirmed by Nori's drawings of how, they're pets to the Solver. They're nerfed. They have the perks of the Solver, but they can't control the Solver. Like they can regenerate and whatnot, but they can't move objects around. No, it's not telekinetically. I don't know what it is. I'm going to say telekinetically. Nerds in the comments, rip me a new one. I don't care. But onto the topic at hand. N has been treated miserably throughout the run of the show. I mean, only in episode 3 did V and N get on good standing, and then in episode 4 did V really show him, some respect. And then, of course, we see in 6, she was willing to sacrifice herself for N and Uzi. That moment is what brings him down further. That brings him down to a point of, we see it in the beginning of 7. He's so distraught by this. He forgets about Uzi and Tessa and just starts clawing at the boulders, forgetting the well-being of others to try and save, potentially, V. And it's really sad seeing him go all panicky and all distraught, even more so whenever he sees that he potentially hurt Uzi. Because she's all he has left. Tessa too, but that'll soon turn out to be nothing but a lie. And it's just, it's heart-wrenching seeing N look so sad and feel so guilty about potentially hurting Uzi. And then Uzi walks away because he later explains, we won't hurt you. And then that gets her suspicious. And that brings him down even further. And then especially because Tessa is telling him all this, in episode 6, that, you need to choose either Uzi or the universe. He feels he can't do that. And then, of course, when Uzi makes the boulders come down, I didn't realize this on onset. I thought it was just a funny Saw reference, but whenever he needs to cut his own arm off, he says,
I deserve this, I deserve this, I deserve this.
Which, it makes it all the more horrible when you realize that N is using a serrated bone saw in this instance. Not his sharp blade that he usually uses to just slice something off. Episode 6 proved he just switched to a sword, cut Uzi's hand off to save her, right? But in this instance, he's using a bone saw that's purposefully slower. And he can obviously feel pain. And it's just horrible because he believes that he deserves to be punished for Uzi's leaving. He thinks that he deserves to be punished for things that are, in truth, not his fault.
More proof of this is in episode 1 when Jay steps on N and he says,
And if the
also later on when Jay puts a virus on N, he says,
Thanks, Jay. Always looking out for me. You're awesome.
and it's just throughout the series, he feels he needs to be punished for his actions. And it all culminates in episode 7 when he can easily escape the boulders and the trauma ghost of V, which is really screwed up, by the way, putting his mental state even further down. He instead uses a slow, horrible bone saw. And if you don't know how much those hurt, watch Saw. Don't if, you're under the age rating, kids. I don't want to be responsible for your trauma. Woo! But that scene in 7, where it's revealed that he massacred an entire planet, is disgustingly horrible to him. Because he sees that, he's been a genocidal monster throughout the series. He really sees the gravity and effects of what his past was. And the fact that he doesn't remember any of it is such a gut punch to him. Thankfully, Uzi is still the admin of his memories, so they're preserved. But of course, we go later on and just whenever he reunites with Uzi, killing Tessa, who he thought was somebody there to help, he just flat out slices her head off, which must have taken so much effort on the part of N, because he doesn't like doing that. He doesn't like hurting the people he loves, but because it's counter to Uzi, and because she was, so suspicious and so, harmful, he knew he had to do it. And whenever he slices Tessa's head off, that just shows how loyal and how willing to go to the ends of the earth he is for Uzi, making it all the sadder whenever the patch, the cross, the MacGuffin is put in Uzi's hand as he tentatively says,
Yeah, that should help.
and Solver destroys it, pitting him against the one thing that he has left. The girl he loves. The girl who he's fought for. Uzi. And throughout the battle, like in episode 3, N would rather put himself in harm's way to protect the Solver-possessed Uzi. Solver knows this weakness of N's, so she'll go to any length to put Uzi in danger if it means a killing blow for the Solver, because she knows she effectively has plot armor because of N. N is willing to take a pickaxe to the face for Uzi. He's willing for his arms and limbs to be sacrificed for her well-being. It's just the fact that he feels that he is better used as a tool than a person is gut-wrenching. But, it makes it all the better whenever those slivers of Uzi slip through. And that brings me to Newsy being confirmed. Canon, real. As confirmed by N's confession of a teenage murder drone. Which finally, thank you, Glitch, for giving us the fact that he's a teenager. Screw you, YTTP, and all the very salty Envy shippers. I know that there are a lot of Envy shippers out there that aren't. The majority of them are great. But, you know who you are, the small minority. And it's just like, yes, we have that confirmation. They're dating. They're a thing. But that makes it even more heart-wrenching, doesn't it? He's had a committed relationship with Uzi, most likely since 4. And, he's been there for her all this time. Of course, when they hug and embrace each other tightly in, the ending scenes of 7, they feel for each other. They can't live without each other. And, Uzi is finally letting N pat her on the head. And also, this is in front of Doll's corpse, which, wow, way to hug your boyfriend whenever there's a corpse right there. Well, I don't know. Doll's really not a friend. But that makes it, I come to this point over and over, but that makes it all the more heart-wrenching when in this tender moment where they're finally at some level of peace, when they're able to just forget about everything else and know that the person that they want to spend the rest of their lives with, the person they can't live without, is right there, finally, safe in their arms. Solver, Tessa, Sin, whatever you want to call her, I'll call her Solver, comes and rips them apart. And of course, that final scene is horrible because N can't lose Uzi. He can't lose somebody else again. He can't. But as we know, Uzi says,
Hey. Thanks for,
and then pleads to her to not do the same thing V did. She does it anyway.
everything.
Uzi, don't you dare!
Giving him the keys to this pod. As N gets launched out of the cathedral. And delving deep into the core of Copper 9. After this moment, N will most likely return to the surface, and we'll see this scene, and we'll finally see, pissed off N. But he's not all pissed off. He's more so distraught and brought down. Why couldn't he just save her? Why couldn't he just save V? Why couldn't he just save Uzi? Not only will he feel responsible for V's death, but also Uzi's and also everybody else that he's let down, maybe even Tessa's. He feels hopeless, powerless. He's most likely gained learned helplessness at this point. Because throughout everything, he's failed. So what can he do now but just try to avenge his own perceived sins and failings of his past? Let's hope that N, Uzi, and even V all get their happy ending. That's the best we can do. Hope. Also, can I just say that I really hate the character assassination done to N by certain parts of the MD community? Now, while I by no means want to claim that N is the next Cave Johnson or something,
I don't want your damn lemons! What am I supposed to do with these?
I do want to say that N, rather, is a character who has gotten so used to poor treatment that he starts to believe that he deserves it. He starts inflicting it on himself. That's how bad it's gotten. But he does know how to stand up for himself. As evidenced by the later episodes, he knows how to stand up for those who he loves. He actually knows how to break out of his fearful shell and protect those he loves. Save the ones he loves. It's just really saddening to see a small minority, I'll say, a vocal minority of the MD community characterize him as just a wimp or like a ooh soft boy, like an e-boy. And it's just, N is brave. N has shown his bravery and has proved he is much more than just a one-note wimp archetype. And it's just kind of sad to see that fanon interpretations of him go down that really wrong route. Although I will say, a lot of the community do see N for what he is. While he does wear a mask to masquerade his feelings, he's still brave and self-sacrificial to those he truly does love. He's an honorable man, not some soft e-boy wimp. From that topic, where's Uzi? N thinks she's dead because, well, he saw her go into the mines, get dragged there by the solver. But she's not in the mines. She's in the final frontier. Space. I have a slight theory for this. So what might have happened is teleportation, because we know teleportation is possible with Doll, And so I'm thinking that the solver just did some extreme teleportation and just teleported her out to space. Alternatively, what this might be, very unlikely, but maybe it's a look into the future. Maybe this is the ending scene, like the last scene chronologically, and, everybody's gone. Sin wins, and then there's Uzi left in space, which would be a horrible conclusion. So, more likely, it's just going to be the final scene of 7 and not of 8, the whole series. But it's just like, how did she get up there? I can't fathom a way of how Uzi could logically be up there other than the teleportation bit. Because thinking about it right now, it's either teleportation or this is some sort of mirage. Like, this is some sort of hallucination that Uzi's having. That'd be lame, so I'm gonna go with teleportation.
But other than that, obviously the exterior, the space where she's in, is just outside of Copper 9. You know, that yellow beam that was shot out and burst through the atmosphere. Yeah, that hole can be seen from space. What I'm thinking is that N is going to be on the clock. He'll somehow figure out that Uzi is still alive. I don't know how. Maybe Uzi will send a transmission, or Nori is going to be found back on the surface and reunite with Khan and tell N that Uzi's not dead. And disassembly drones and solver drones can't be exposed to sunlight or else they'll die. So imagine direct sunlight in space? Yeah, Uzi is literally cooked if N isn't fast enough. Which I believe that plot point from episode 2 of him being a pilot is going to kick into play. He just got the keys to Jay's landing pod, and he can finally redeem himself from crashing his pod. He's going to be the pilot to save Uzi. He's going to go to space, he's going to conquer his fears, all for Uzi, to save her. And that's what I think episode 8 is going to be focused around. Now, I don't know if the fan dubbed Bus Crashed Trio, which really should be Khan, Lizzie, and Thad, and not including Jay in that, because she's most likely going to stay an antagonist to the end, and I have no hopes that she's going to get any more screen time than she did in 7. Maybe she will, because, you know, a fight scene on the surface, and also it's the last episode, but, like, it ain't looking too good for her. But overall, other than that, you know, I think 8's plot will be centered around Nori and Khan finding each other again, and trying to save their daughter along with N, and stop the solver. Maybe Sin could be saved, but I'm pretty sure she's too far gone. I mean, the skin of Tessa and Sin's voice and body are all being conglomerated into this thing, you know, with the solver virus. And it's just like, wow. I don't think that, you know, this puree of a quote unquote person, I don't think you can get the ingredients out. My final theory is going to be a meta one. You see, episode 7 didn't really bring my hopes up for a potential season 2, which is weird because Murder Drones has always been advertised as season 1, and for there to be a lack of a season 2 would go counter that advertising. But, you know, me personally, I think it's just going to end in 8, because, you know, that's where the story's headed, and the logical conclusion would happen in 8. I don't know how possibly Liam could stretch it out to, I don't know, let's say the next season has 8 episodes too. 16 episodes. At that point, it would just be milking it, because if there isn't a great story to tell, don't tell it. It'll just ruin the integrity of the series, and it'll dampen the overall quality. Which makes me say, I would rather have 8 high quality, very good episodes than I would 8 great ones and 8 mediocre ones. With that said, I still do hope that there's a season 2, because, as said in my previous analysis video, my favorite show only having 8 episodes sounds horrible, atrocious. But like Gravity Falls, it had 40 episodes, but, you know, it too had a short run, purposefully. Everyone wanted a season 3. I wanted a season 3. I remember sitting there in, I don't even remember, 4th, 5th grade, you know, the lunch table, speculating with a buddy of mine, good buddy of mine. He's also on YouTube, so I recommend you go and check out his content. He goes by Ferzamo77, and his @ is Ferzamo7795. So go check him out. He makes content on occasion. I think he has a better upload schedule than me. But Ferzamo and I, we used to sit in the elementary lunch table and theorize, oh, this is going to happen in season 3. Season 3 will release this time, this and that. And, you know, season 3 never came. That see you next summer in the final scene of Gravity Falls never paid off. Because it wasn't supposed to pay off. It was supposed to just be a sort of message to the audience. I'll see you next summer when you come back and rewatch the show and relive your memories. Those memories of theorizing with your friends in the schoolyard, of looking for every single clue in every single crevice, and bonding and loving the characters that we met and adventured with on the way. Maybe in the final moments of episode 8, we'll get a similar scene, you know, because it's the nuclear winter. Maybe they want a warmer, outcome. So maybe they'll have a see you next summer, see you next winter of their own, where it's slightly implied that the adventures will continue, just like in Gravity Falls, but we won't get to see them, and we can just look back at the show the next time summer rolls around and enjoy it once more as a piece of media that we all loved and that we all enjoyed and that we all bonded with. And, I hope that Murder Drones as a property doesn't end there. I hope we still get some, merch and some voice actor live streams so they can have fun. I hope Liam talks about it more later on, still draws art of it, and, we can probably get some animated shorts out of it. I just hope that, Murder Drones lives on, as Gravity Falls did. I hope our little cult community can stay together and, for years to come, still make AUs, art, music, and so much more creative ways to express our love for Murder Drones as a series. To all those who make that on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and I haven't checked, but Tumblr, I guess, DeviantArt, thank you for keeping this community alive. And I just want to say to Liam, thank you. I don't know you personally, but I did know you back when you made Cliffside and all those other projects. And I'm sure you get this a lot. Murder Drones is what really made me a fan of you. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for giving us my favorite show of probably all time. While it's not perfect, it's still a wonderful experience. So thank you. And thank all of you for watching and for listening to my endless ramblings. Jeez, this is longer than episode 7, isn't it? Well, that's what you get when you get yapping. So I'm glad that all of y'all stayed to the end, for those of you who did. And, I'm really working on other non-Murder Drones projects. I have a Minecraft video in the works, so we'll see when that comes out. So, do the YouTuber things, like, comment, subscribe. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers to everything you do.